High in the snowy peaks of the whispering glacier, where the wind sang its icy tune and the frost painted shimmering patterns on the mountain cliffs, there lived a creature of both mystery and magic. Known only in hushed whispers as the Ice Dragon, she was said to weave melodies that echoed through the mountains, bringing balance to the frosty realm. Her songs turned snowflakes into sparkling gems and transformed frozen lakes into mirrors that reflected the stars. The locals believed her music was not just a gift, but a lifeline, the force that kept the mountain in harmony with the world. On a crisp winter evening, the moon hung low in the sky, casting its silvery glow over the glacial expanse. Tiny crystals of snow danced in the air, illuminated by the moonlight. At the heart of the glacier lay an ancient ice cave, its entrance framed by jagged icicles that glimmered like chandeliers. Inside, the Ice Dragon perched atop a crystalline throne, her silvery blue scales shimmering as though frost had been etched directly onto her. Her eyes, deep and luminous like frozen pools, surveyed the cave with an air of gentle authority. The dragon's tail, long and graceful, curled around a harp-like formation of ice, from which she plucked delicate notes that resonated through the chamber. The sound was mesmerizing, a melody that seemed to carry the whispers of the wind, the crackle of ice, and the soft hum of the earth. The music travelled through the glacier, cascading down the mountain like a gentle lullaby for the entire valley below. This was the way it had always been. The Ice Dragon's melody was the heartbeat of the mountain, a song that kept the snows steady, the winds balanced, and the frost pure. But that evening, as her talons brushed against the icy strings, a faint unease rippled through the air. Her melody faltered just for a moment, like a breath catching in the cold. She paused, her sharp ears pricking up. Something was off. Something unfamiliar had entered her realm. Far below the glacier, nestled in a quiet village blanketed by snow, a young musician named Leora sat by a crackling fire. Her violin rested on her lap, its surface polished to a warm sheen. Leora was a wanderer, her heart drawn to the mysteries of the world and the melodies that seemed to call to her from far away places. That evening, as the firelight flickered and shadows danced on the cabin walls, she felt a pull she couldn't explain, a longing to journey into the mountains. The villagers often spoke of the Ice Dragon with awe and reverence. Her songs keep the mountain alive, they would say, but beware, for her trust is not easily won, and her wrath is as fierce as a blizzard. Leora had grown up with these tales, her imagination painting vivid pictures of the dragon and her magical melodies. And yet the thought of meeting such a creature filled her not with fear, but with wonder. As the wind outside howled and snowflakes tapped against the window, Leora closed her eyes and let her bow glide across the violin's strings. A soft, haunting tune filled the room, echoing the calls of the wind. She played without thinking, as though the mountain itself were guiding her fingers. When the last note faded, she opened her eyes to find her father standing in the doorway, his face a mixture of concern and pride. "You're playing the mountain's song," he said softly. Leora tilted her head. "The mountain song?" He nodded, stepping closer and wrapping a woolen scarf around her shoulders. It's said that the Ice Dragon's melodies are so powerful, they echo through the snow and find their way into the hearts of those who listen closely. Perhaps the mountain is calling you. That night, as the village lay silent under the starlit sky, Leora packed her violin and a small satchel of supplies. She couldn't ignore the pull any longer. Something was waiting for her in the glacier's icy expanse, and she was determined to find it. Little did she know, the ice dragon had already felt her presence, a delicate thread of unfamiliar music that had woven itself into the dragon's melody. The harmony of the glacier trembled, and the dragon's luminous eyes turned toward the horizon, where a lone traveler was making her way through the snow. The sun rose timidly over the whispering glacier, its pale light struggling to pierce the thick swirling mists that clung to the mountainside. Snow fell softly, but the air was tense, as if the very mountain held its breath. High in her crystalline cave, the ice dragon paced, her claws clicking lightly against the frosted floor. She had spent the night weaving melodies to restore the balance, but the discordant note, a faint, foreign sound, lingered like a splinter in her harmony. She stretched her wings, their edges sharp as ice shards, and let out a low, resonant hum. It was a call, a warning, to any creature daring to disturb her mountain's equilibrium. The melody rippled outward, carried by the wind, and reached far beyond the glacier. In the village below, Leora heard it as a deep vibration in the air, a sound that resonated in her chest and made her violin strings hum softly in their case. Leora's curiosity burned brighter than ever. She had been trudging through the snow for hours, her boots crunching against the frost-covered ground, her breath forming clouds in the icy air. Her violin case was slung over her shoulder, and she clutched her satchel tightly, its contents carefully chosen. Warm blankets, dried fruit, and a small flask of tea. The villagers had warned her not to go. The ice dragon is not a creature to be trifled with, they had said, but their caution only fueled her determination. The path grew steeper as she climbed higher, the trees thinning until they were little more than skeletal figures against the white landscape. The air was colder here, sharper, and the silence was almost oppressive. But as Leora paused to catch her breath, she heard it, a faint melody carried on the wind. It was unlike anything she had ever heard, a haunting, ethereal tune that seemed to beckon her forward. Driven by the music, she pressed on, her heart pounding with equal parts fear and exhilaration. The melody grew louder, weaving itself into the sound of the wind and the crunch of snow beneath her feet. And then, at last, she saw it. The entrance to the ice dragon's cave, framed by jagged icicles that glistened like diamonds. Leora hesitated at the threshold, her courage wavering for the first time. The cave exuded an otherworldly energy, its frosted walls shimmering with an inner light. The melody was almost deafening here, each note reverberating through her very soul. Swallowing her fear, she stepped inside. The temperature dropped instantly, the air thick with the scent of frost and ancient stone. Leora's breath caught in her throat as her eyes adjusted to the dim light. The ice dragon was there, perched on her throne of ice, her silvery blue scales gleaming like freshly fallen snow. Her eyes, deep and piercing, locked onto Leora, and the melody abruptly ceased. For a moment, the cave was silent, the air heavy with tension. Then the dragon spoke, her voice a low, melodic rumble that seemed to echo from every corner of the chamber. "Who dares enter my sanctuary?" Leora's knees trembled, but she straightened her back and stepped forward, her violin case clutched tightly in her hands. "My name is Leora," she said, her voice steadier than she felt. "I heard your melody. It called to me." The dragon's eyes narrowed, her gaze scrutinizing the young musician. "The mountain is in turmoil," she said. My melodies are meant to bring harmony, yet there is a discordant note that I cannot resolve. Tell me, traveler, why have you come? Are you the source of this disturbance?" Leora shook her head, her heart hammering in her chest. "I don't mean to disturb your mountain. I came because your music resonated with me. I felt it in my soul." The dragon tilted her head, her gaze softening slightly. "You speak of resonance," she said. "Do you understand the weight of those words? To resonate is to connect, to become part of something greater. If you have truly felt my music, then perhaps you are not here by chance." Leora hesitated, then unslung her violin case and opened it. The polished wood of the instrument glowed softly in the icy light. She lifted the violin to her shoulder, her fingers trembling as they found their places on the strings. "May I play for you?" she asked, her voice barely above a whisper. The dragon regarded her for a long moment, then nodded. "Very well, musician. Let us see if your music speaks the truth." Leora took a deep breath, her bow hovering over the strings. She closed her eyes, letting the memory of the dragon's melody guide her. Slowly, she began to play. The first notes were tentative, but as she continued, the music flowed more freely, intertwining with the echoes of the dragon's song. The ice dragon listened intently, her piercing gaze never leaving Leora. As the music filled the cave, a strange thing began to happen. The frosted walls shimmered and seemed to ripple, as though the sound waves were carving patterns into the ice. The dragon's wings unfurled slightly, catching the light and scattering it in a dazzling array of colours. When Leora finished, the cave fell silent once more. The dragon's expression was unreadable, but her voice was softer when she spoke. "You have a gift," she said, "but gifts alone are not enough. The balance of this mountain is fragile, and a disturbance has already been set in motion. If you truly wish to help, you must be willing to face the storm." Leora swallowed hard. "What must I do?" The dragon rose from her throne, her powerful form casting shimmering reflections across the icy chamber. "There is a rift in the harmony of this mountain," she said. "A traveler has ventured into my realm and disrupted the balance. Their actions have set off a chain reaction, threatening not only this mountain but the lands beyond. You must find this traveler and help them see the damage they have caused. Only then can we restore the melody." Leora nodded, her resolve hardening. "I'll do it. I'll help you restore the balance." The dragon's gaze softened, and for the first time she smiled, a small, fleeting gesture that lit up her icy features. "Very well, Leora, but be warned, the path ahead will not be easy. The mountain will test you, and you must trust in the power of your music to guide you." With that, the dragon turned and gestured with her tail. A narrow passageway carved into the ice opened at the far end of the cave. "Follow this path," she said. "It will lead you to the heart of the disturbance. And remember, musician, the melody is not just in the notes you play, but in the harmony you create with the world around you." As Leora stepped toward the passageway, her violin cradled in her arms, she felt a strange mix of fear and excitement. She didn't know what lay ahead, but she was determined to face it, armed with nothing but her music and the trust of the ice dragon. Leora stepped into the icy passageway, the faint sound of the ice dragon's melody lingering in the air behind her. The walls of the tunnel shimmered like frozen waterfalls, their smooth surfaces capturing and refracting light in a dazzling display. With her violin secured in its case and a lantern in her hand, she pressed forward, the dragon's words echoing in her mind. The air grew colder with each step, and the tunnel began to slope downward. Her boots crunched against the frost-covered ground, and her breath billowed in misty clouds before her. Though she was nervous, Leora couldn't help but marvel at the beauty around her. The walls seemed to hum softly, as if the mountain itself were alive with music. After what felt like an eternity, the tunnel opened into a vast cavern. A frozen river snaked through the center, its surface smooth and glassy like a mirror. Icicles hung from the ceiling like the pipes of a grand organ. And when a faint breeze passed through, they produced a delicate, tinkling sound. Leora paused to take it all in, the sense of wonder momentarily outweighing her fear. Suddenly, a faint movement on the river's surface caught her eye. She squinted, trying to make out what it was. A figure, a man, stood in the distance, his silhouette stark against the icy backdrop. He was bent over as if inspecting the frozen river. Leora's heart raced. Could this be the traveller the dragon had spoken of? Summoning her courage, she called out, "Hello! Who's there?" The man jerked upright, his head snapping toward her. For a moment he seemed startled, but then he straightened and began walking toward her. As he drew closer, Leora could see that he was tall and lean, with a weathered face framed by a hood lined with fur. He carried a heavy pack on his back, and a pickaxe was slung over one shoulder. "What are you doing here?" he asked, his tone brusque but not unkind. "I could ask you the same," Leora replied, clutching her lantern tightly. "This mountain... it's not safe. The balance has been disturbed, and the ice dragon is..." "The ice dragon?" The man interrupted her with a laugh, though there was little humour in it. "You mean that mythical creature the villagers whisper about? I'm not afraid of fairy tales." "It's not a fairy tale," Leora insisted, her voice rising. "Why?" "She's real, and she told me you're the reason the mountain is in turmoil. What have you done?" The man's expression darkened. "I've done nothing but search for a way to survive. This mountain is rich with resources, crystals, rare stones, and I'm here to collect them. If that bothers your so-called dragon, then maybe she should show herself instead of sending a child to scold me." Anger flared in Leora's chest, but she forced herself to stay calm. "You don't understand," she said, her tone softer now. "The mountain isn't just a place, it's alive. The dragon's music keeps it in balance, and when you take from it, you disrupt that harmony. Please, you have to stop." The man hesitated, his eyes narrowing as he studied her. "And what would you have me do?" he asked. "Leave empty-handed? I've already risked everything coming here?" Before Leora could respond, a low rumble echoed through the cavern. The frozen river beneath them began to tremble, and cracks spiderwebbed across its surface. The man's eyes widened in alarm, and Leora's heart pounded in her chest. "We have to move," she shouted, grabbing his arm and pulling him away from the river. Together, they scrambled up the rocky incline as the ice gave way, sending chunks of it crashing into the freezing water below. When they reached the top of the slope, they collapsed onto the snow, breathing heavily. The man stared at the churning river below, his expression a mix of shock and disbelief. "That's not normal," he muttered. "No," Leora agreed, her voice trembling. "It's the mountain warning us. If we don't fix this, it could collapse completely." The man turned to her, a flicker of fear in his eyes. "What do we do?" Leora hesitated, then stood and offered him her hand. "Come with me," she said. "The ice dragon can help, but you have to be willing to listen." For a moment the man seemed torn, but then he nodded and took her hand. Together they made their way back into the depths of the mountain, following the faint echoes of the dragon's melody. As they walked, Leora learned more about the man. His name was Darian, and he was a miner from a distant town. He had come to the mountain out of desperation, hoping to find something valuable enough to save his family from ruin. His story softened Leora's heart, and she realized that while his actions had caused harm, his intentions were not malicious. "I never wanted to hurt anything," Darian said, his voice heavy with regret. "I didn't know. I didn't understand." "You can still make it right," Leora told him. "The dragon's music is powerful, but it can only heal the mountain if we work together." As they neared the dragon's lair, the air grew colder and the walls shimmered with a soft, otherworldly light. The dragon was waiting for them, her massive form coiled on her icy throne. Her piercing eyes locked onto Darian, and a low growl rumbled in her throat. "You dare return," she said, her voice sharp and unforgiving. "Have you come to face the consequences of your actions?" Darian stepped forward, his hands raised in a gesture of surrender. "I'm sorry," he said. "I didn't know what I was doing. Please let me make it right." The dragon regarded him for a long moment, her expression unreadable. Then she turned to Leora. "What do you propose, musician?" Leora took a deep breath, her mind racing. "We need to restore the harmony," she said. "Darian can help rebuild what he disrupted, and I can play alongside your melodies to strengthen the balance. Together we can fix this." The dragon's eyes narrowed, but after a moment she nodded. "Very well," she said. "But know this, restoring balance is no easy task. The mountain will test you, and you must be prepared to face its challenges." Leora and Darian exchanged a determined glance, then turned back to the dragon. "We're ready," Leora said. The dragon's gaze softened, and for the first time, a hint of approval flickered in her eyes. "Then let us begin." With a powerful sweep of her wings, the dragon rose into the air, her voice rising in a haunting melody. Leora lifted her violin, and as the first notes flowed from her bow, she felt a surge of energy course through her. Darian picked up his pickaxe, not to mine, but to carve new pathways for the mountain's harmony to flow. Together, the three of them embarked on a journey unlike any other, their actions guided by the music of the mountain. The melody grew stronger with each step, weaving a tapestry of trust, determination, and hope. Though the path ahead was uncertain, they knew they were united by a common purpose, and that was enough. The ice dragon's melody swirled through the cavern, echoing in powerful waves that seemed to resonate with the mountain itself. Leora stood at the edge of a deep chasm, her violin trembling in her hands as she played a counter melody. Each note wove itself into the dragon's song, creating a fragile harmony that filled the air with an almost tangible energy. Behind her, Darian worked feverishly. Using his pickaxe, he cleared away debris that had blocked one of the mountain's natural vents. A pathway crucial for the flow of energy that maintained the mountain's balance. With each swing, the mountain seemed to groan in protest, but he pressed on, beads of sweat freezing against his forehead despite the icy air. The dragon soared above them, her massive wings stirring the air into icy gusts. Her eyes glowed with an intensity that matched the urgency of her song. "Faster, human!" she called down to Darian. "The melody is weakening, and the rift is widening." Darian gritted his teeth, his muscles burning with effort. "I'm doing my best," he shouted back. He glanced over at Leora, whose face was pale but determined as she played, her fingers darting over the strings with practiced precision. Her music gave him strength, urging him to keep going despite the mountain's growing hostility. Suddenly, the ground beneath them rumbled violently, and a series of cracks splintered across the ice. Leora stumbled, her bow slipping from the strings for a moment, and the harmony faltered. The dragon let out a sharp cry, and the melody turned dissonant, a jarring sound that sent chills down their spines. "The mountain is rejecting us!" the dragon roared, her voice filled with both fury and fear. "If we lose the melody, the balance will collapse entirely." Leora steadied herself, her heart racing. "We won't lose it!" she shouted. Her bow found the strings again, and she played with renewed focus, her music surging to match the dragon's. Slowly, the dissonance faded, and the harmony returned, though it remained tenuous. As the song stabilized, a strange light began to emanate from the chasm before them. It was a cold, bluish glow that pulsed in time with the music, growing brighter with each passing moment. Leora's breath caught in her throat as she realized what it was. The heart of the mountain, a crystalline core that pulsed with the very essence of its energy. "That's it," the dragon said, her voice hushed with awe. "The source of the mountain's balance. But look!" Leora and Darian peered into the chasm and saw that the crystalline core was fractured, a jagged crack running through its center. The light flickered and wavered, and the air around it seemed to shimmer with instability. "The rift has reached the heart," the dragon said. "If it shatters completely, the mountain's harmony will be lost forever." Leora's stomach churned with fear, but she forced herself to stay calm. "What can we do?" she asked, her voice barely audible over the melody. The dragon landed beside her, her massive form radiating cold. "The core responds to music," she said. "We must repair it with a perfect harmony. It is the only way to seal the rift." Leora's grip on her violin tightened. "I'll do it," she said, "but I'll need your help." The dragon nodded, and together they began to weave their melodies, their songs intertwining like streams merging into a river. The sound was both powerful and delicate, each note a thread in a tapestry of light and sound. The core seemed to respond, its glow growing steadier and its fractured edges softening. But the mountain was not done testing them. The ground shook violently, and shards of ice fell from the cavern ceiling, shattering on the frozen floor. Darian barely dodged a falling stalactite, his heart pounding in his chest. "I can't keep clearing this vent," he shouted. "It's too dangerous." "You must," the dragon said, her gaze fierce. "The energy must flow freely for the harmony to take hold." Darian clenched his jaw, his hands trembling as he gripped his pickaxe. He glanced at Leora, whose music filled the cavern, with hope and determination. Taking a deep breath, he turned back to his task, his swings growing stronger despite the chaos around him. As the melody reached its peak, the light from the core intensified, filling the cavern with a radiant brilliance. The crack in the crystal began to close, the jagged edges knitting together as if healed by the music itself. Leora's arms ached, and sweat dripped down her temple, but she played on, her soul pouring into every note. Darian let out a triumphant shout as the last of the debris cleared and a powerful rush of air surged through the vent. The mountain seemed to exhale, its tension easing as the energy flowed freely once more. "We're doing it!" Leora cried, her voice filled with both relief and joy. But just as the core seemed to stabilize, a shadow loomed at the edge of the chasm. A dark figure emerged, its form twisted and menacing. It was a creature of the rift, born from the imbalance. A being of ice and shadow that radiated malice. The dragon let out a deafening roar, her wings flaring as she positioned herself between the creature and the core. "Protect the harmony!" she shouted. "I will deal with this!" The creature lunged at her, its claws glinting like shards of obsidian. The dragon met it head-on, their clash sending shockwaves through the cavern. Leora's heart raced as she watched, but she knew she couldn't let herself be distracted. The music had to continue. "Darian!" she called. "Help the dragon! I'll hold the melody!" Darian hesitated for only a moment before grabbing his pickaxe and rushing to the dragon's side. Together, they fought at the creature, their movements a synchronized dance of strength and strategy. The dragon's icy breath froze the creature's limbs, while Darian's strikes shattered its defenses. Leora poured every ounce of her energy into the music, her notes ringing out like a beacon of hope. The core pulsed in time with her song, its light growing ever brighter. Slowly the creature began to falter, its form dissolving into wisps of shadow that were drawn into the core's radiant glow. With a final, triumphant roar, the dragon unleashed a blast of icy wind that scattered the last of the creature. The cavern fell silent save for the lingering echoes of Leora's melody. The core shone brilliantly, its light steady and strong, and the mountains seemed to hum with renewed harmony. The dragon turned to Leora and Darian, her expression one of pride and gratitude. "You have done well," she said. "The balance is restored and the mountain is safe once more." Leora lowered her violin, her arms trembling with exhaustion. "We did it," she said, a tired but triumphant smile spreading across her face. Darian nodded, his chest heaving as he caught his breath. "We couldn't have done it without you," he said to Leora, his voice filled with sincerity. The dragon stepped forward, her massive form towering over them. "Both of you have proven yourselves worthy," she said. "The mountain will remember your courage and harmony." As the light from the core enveloped them, Leora felt a sense of peace wash over her. The mountain's song was whole again, and she knew they had truly achieved something extraordinary. The radiant light of the mountain's crystalline core began to dim, settling into a steady glow that filled the cavern with a serene bluish hue. The ice dragon's song, once a powerful crescendo, softened into a tranquil melody that echoed gently off the icy walls. The mountain felt calm again, its energy flowing freely through the restored pathways. Leora lowered her violin, her fingers trembling from exertion. She leaned against a frosty rock, letting the cool surface soothe her tired body. Beside her, Darian rested on his knees, his pickaxe discarded at his side. His breath came in short, heavy bursts, but a look of relief and gratitude lit up his face. The ice dragon landed gracefully beside them, folding her enormous wings with a whisper of frost. Her icy gaze softened as she looked at the two of them, her voice a low, melodious hum. "You have done well," she said, inclining her head. "The mountain sings again because of your courage and unity." Leora managed a small smile, her heart swelling with pride. "We couldn't have done it without you," she said, her voice barely above a whisper. "Your music, it's extraordinary. It feels alive." The dragon's icy lips curled into what could only be described as a smile. "Music is alive," she said. "It is the voice of the mountain, the harmony that binds all things. And now you are a part of it." Darian sat up straighter, his gaze meeting the dragon's. I "I owe you an apology," he said, his tone heavy with remorse. "I didn't understand what I was doing, what I was taking. I only wanted to help my family, but I see now that I was blind to the cost." The dragon regarded him in silence for a moment, her crystalline eyes unreadable. Then she dipped her head, her voice gentle. "Acknowledging your mistakes is the first step toward redemption," she said. "The mountain has forgiven you, and so shall I." Darian let out a breath he hadn't realized he was holding, a weight lifting from his shoulders. "Thank you," he said, his voice thick with emotion. "I'll find another way to provide for my family, one that doesn't harm this place." The dragon nodded approvingly. "That is all I ask," she said. Then her gaze shifted to Leora. "And you, young musician, have a gift that few possess. Your music carries a purity that resonates with the mountain spirit. Never let go of it." Leora's cheeks flushed and she nodded earnestly. "I won't," she promised. "Thank you for trusting me." The dragon stepped back, her massive form illuminated by the soft glow of the core. "The balance has been restored, but the mountain will need time to heal fully. I will continue to sing its melody, but your actions today have given it the strength to endure." With that, the dragon lifted her wings and took flight, her song echoing through the cavern as she ascended into the icy heights. Leora and Darian watched her go, the beauty of her voice leaving them both awestruck and at peace. The cavern grew quiet, save for the gentle hum of the core. Leora looked at Darian, who offered her a tired but genuine smile. "I guess we should head back," he said, his voice softer now, as though he didn't want to disturb the mountain's tranquility. She nodded, rising to her feet and brushing frost from her coat. "Yeah, the village will want to know what happened." Together they retraced their steps through the icy tunnels, the path now illuminated by a soft, silvery light that seemed to emanate from the walls themselves. The air no longer felt heavy with tension, and the faint hum of the mountain's song followed them, a comforting reminder of the harmony they had helped restore. As they walked, Leora couldn't help but reflect on everything that had happened. The fear and uncertainty she had felt when she first entered the dragon's lair had given way to a newfound sense of purpose and confidence. She had always believed in the power of music, but this experience had shown her just how profound that power could be. Darian seemed lost in thought as well, his gaze distant. When he finally spoke, his voice was tinged with wonder. "You know, I never thought I'd believe in something like this. Dragons, melodies that heal mountains. It all seemed like a fairy tale, but now I can't imagine seeing the world the same way again." Leora smiled, her heart warming at his words. "It's not just a story," she said. "The world is full of magic. We just have to be willing to see it." He nodded, a faint smile tugging at his lips. "And to protect it." The journey back to the village felt shorter than the journey up the mountain, as though the mountain itself was guiding them home. When they finally emerged from the icy tunnels, the sun was rising, casting a golden glow over the snow-covered peaks. The air was crisp and clean, and the sky was painted with hues of pink and orange. As they descended into the valley, the village came into view. Smoke curled from chimneys, and the faint sound of morning chatter reached their ears. Leora felt a wave of relief wash over her. This place, with its warmth and simplicity, was home. When they reached the village square, they were greeted by a crowd of curious and anxious villagers. Leora's family rushed forward, their faces alight with concern and love. "Leora!" her mother cried, pulling her into a tight embrace. "We were so worried about you." "I'm okay," Leora assured her, her voice muffled against her mother's shoulder. "Everything's okay now." Darian stepped forward, his expression somber but resolute. "It was my fault," he said, addressing the crowd. "I disturbed the mountain's balance, and I'm sorry for the trouble I caused. But Leora and the ice dragon saved us. They restored harmony to the mountain." The villagers murmured among themselves, their initial tension giving way to a mix of relief and gratitude. Leora's father stepped forward, clapping Darian on the shoulder. "What's done is done," he said. "The important thing is that you made it right." Darian nodded, his eyes glistening. "Thank you." As the crowd dispersed, Leora found herself alone with her family. She told them everything: the dragon, the melodies, the journey to the heart of the mountain. They listened with wide eyes, their expressions a mix of disbelief and pride. "You're incredible, Leora," her younger brother said, his voice filled with awe. "You're like a real-life hero." Leora laughed softly, ruffling his hair. "I just did what I could," she said, "and I wasn't alone." That evening, as the village settled into the quiet rhythm of night, Leora sat by the fire with her violin. She played a soft, soothing melody, the notes weaving through the air like a gentle lullaby. Outside, the mountain stood tall and silent, its harmony restored. And somewhere in the icy heights, the ice dragon sang her own melody, a song of balance and trust that would echo through the mountains for generations to come. Now, let's prepare to drift into a deep and peaceful sleep, just as the mountain has returned to its calm, balanced state. Imagine yourself standing at the edge of a snowy peak, the cool, crisp air brushing against your face. The world is quiet, except for the faint, soothing melody carried by the wind, a song of harmony and peace. Take a deep breath in and slowly let it out. Feel the air filling your lungs, clean and refreshing, just like the mountain's fresh energy. Breathe in again, deeply, and as you exhale, let go of any tension or worries you've been carrying. Close your eyes and imagine yourself stepping forward into the heart of the mountain. The path ahead is gentle and inviting, lined with sparkling snowflakes that glisten like tiny crystals under the light of the moon. Each step you take feels lighter than the last, as if the mountain itself is lifting you, guiding you toward a place of rest. Now let's focus on your body. Start at the top of your head and notice how it feels. Is there any tension there? If so, imagine it melting away like frost, disappearing under the warmth of the sun. Let your forehead relax. Let your eyes feel heavy, and let your cheeks soften. Move down to your shoulders. They've carried so much today, haven't they? But now, it's time to let go. Picture the ice dragon's wings gently brushing over your shoulders, carrying away all the weight you've been holding. Your arms are soft and heavy, resting comfortably at your sides. Take another deep breath in, and as you exhale, feel your chest and back relax. Your breathing is steady, like the rhythm of the dragon's melody, a calming, gentle pulse that brings balance to your body. With every breath, you feel more grounded, more at ease. Now focus on your legs. They've carried you far today, but they too deserve to rest. Imagine them sinking into a bed of soft snow, warm and safe, as the mountain cradles you in its embrace. Your feet feel light, like they're floating on air. You're completely relaxed now, your body as still and serene as the mountain itself. And just like the mountain, your mind is finding its own balance, its own harmony. Let your thoughts drift like snowflakes in the wind, light, gentle, and free. As you lie here, imagine the ice dragon's melody weaving through your thoughts, bringing harmony and stillness. Repeat these affirmations silently to yourself, letting each one settle into your heart. I am safe, protected by the mountain's embrace. I am calm, like the still air atop the snowy peaks. I trust in my own strength and the balance within me. I let go of all worries and allow myself to rest. I am surrounded by peace, harmony, and gentle melodies. Feel how each affirmation brings you closer to a sense of tranquility. You are part of the mountain's song now, a vital note in its melody. Your presence brings balance and beauty to the world. Now, let's take a journey into the heart of the mountain once more. Picture yourself standing at the edge of the crystalline core, its soft blue light illuminating the cavern. The ice dragon is there, her scales shimmering like diamonds as she hums a gentle tune. She invites you to sit beside her, to listen to her song. As you do, you feel a deep connection to the mountain, to its energy and its rhythm. The song is not just the dragon's, it's yours too. It flows through you, filling every corner of your being with warmth and light. Imagine the dragon's melody spreading outward, reaching every corner of the world. It touches the snowy peaks, the forests below, and even the stars above. The song carries peace and balance wherever it goes, and you're part of that harmony. As you listen, you notice the crystalline core beginning to glow brighter. The light wraps around you like a soft blanket, its warmth soothing and comforting. You feel completely at ease, knowing you are safe and protected here in the heart of the mountain. Now, imagine yourself floating upward, carried by the dragon's song. The cavern fades away, and you find yourself among the stars, just like Leora and the ice dragon. The sky is a vast canvas of light, the stars shimmering and winking at you like old friends. You float gently, weightless, as the melody surrounds you. The stars seem to hum along, their light pulsing in time with the song. You are at peace here, in this endless expanse of calm and beauty. Feel how light you are, how free. There's no rush, no pressure, just the soft pull of the melody guiding you through the stars. You can go anywhere you like, explore any dream you wish. The universe is yours to wander, and it welcomes you with open arms. As you float, imagine any lingering worries or fears as tiny snowflakes resting on your shoulders. One by one, they lift away, caught by the dragon's melody and carried into the sky. Watch as they drift higher and higher, until they disappear into the stars. You are free of them now, light and unburdened. Your mind is clear, your heart is open, and your body is relaxed. All that's left is peace, a deep, unshakable peace that wraps around you like the dragon's protective wings. Slowly, the stars begin to fade, and you find yourself back in the mountain's embrace. You're lying on a soft bed of snow, warm and comfortable. The dragon's melody lingers in the air, a gentle reminder that you are always safe, always part of the mountain's harmony. Take one more deep breath in, and as you exhale, feel yourself sinking deeper into rest. Your body is heavy, your mind is light, and your heart is full of peace. The mountain cradles you, its energy a steady, soothing presence. Before you drift off completely, let these final affirmations guide you into the deepest, most restful sleep. I'm surrounded by peace and harmony. I trust in the balance of the world and within myself. I release all tension and welcome restful dreams. I am safe. I am calm. I am loved. Feel these words settle into your heart, their meaning resonating with the mountain's melody. You are ready to let go, to rest, to dream. Good night, little dreamer. Sleep well in the mountain's embrace, and wake to a world filled with harmony and light.